Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I am very happy you're here. This is your girl Najwa. Please do me a favor, if you're new here, please go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video. Guys, the far right is literally, it's imploding upon itself. It is imploding upon itself. So Marjorie Taylor Greene got laughed at, on the House floor. Like a huge, big bouts of laughter. Like the whole room, that's a big room. The whole room itself seemed to be breaking out in laughter. So you guys have probably heard. Stewart Rhodes, the Oath Keepers founder, was sentenced to 18 years for seditious conspiracy. And it has certainly sent a signal out to other far-right extremists to dude, get it under control. Get it under control. I mean, guys, what we're literally watching right now is a descent into hell. A descent into hell. And what's so terrible is that I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I'm from the South. So many of these people out here being crazy are the types of people I grew up right alongside. I grew up alongside their kids, alongside their grandkids. I just think a lot of these far-right people, I'm sorry if you're watching this now, I feel like they have been taken advantage of. The far-right media like Fox News, all of the trashy tabloids that Rupert Murdoch owns have it's duped you guys. You guys got duped. And now can we come back from it? I don't know. But listen to your peers. Listen to your peers and maybe, come with a level of humility and openness to hear other people's perspectives. And maybe you will understand. Now, something that I want to take a look at with you guys was just exactly what happened over Twitter. After news of Stewart Rhodes, this guy from the Oath Keepers got, after his conviction came out. Now, we'll talk a little bit about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but that basically is just our joke of the day, But Twitter basically exploded. And we all know, I also want to talk a little bit about Ron DeSantis, his presidential launch campaign over Twitter, in collaboration with Elon Musk, was a terrible failure. I'm pretty sure all of you have heard about it by now. And it this abortion ban, for example, that got signed in South Carolina, it was done in closed doors. Nobody was there but 5 or 6 people. There's secrecy around this stuff. The same way that there is secrecy around these far-right extremist movements that are happening on the internet. There's secrecy around the, I don't even know how you pronounce it, MGTOW or PUAs or whatever, the, incel movement. There's so much secrecy around it. And you have to wonder, when there's so much secrecy, does that really settle with your heart? When there's so much secrecy around stuff, does that read to you as something that is, an action that's pure, an action that would be revered and held up by the Lord if you are a Christian like me, or if you're a person of faith, something that would be seen and deemed as righteous by God. These things that are happening in closed doors and secret, trying to, get women to give up autonomy over their bodies, not valuing the lives of black men, of black people, showing that you don't value them, even if you had some other ideas behind there. Don't you think when everybody is kind of talking to you, telling you, hey, we think that you're losing it. We think that you're not really here in the present moment. Listen, come with some humility. Don't you think that maybe that should be a signal for you to change your course of action? And then, this debt ceiling thing. I hate to keep harping on this, but the Republicans, the far right, the most extremist of the Republicans, have made it an issue to be harped on because they're like, hey, we're not going to make the super rich wealthy. way more wealthy than anybody on this planet should ever be, like Rupert Murdoch, like Elon Musk, the main people who are like, coming and supporting these far right movements. It's all a front because they know that they can get came after, okay? You want these people to continue living tax-free and take away paychecks from veterans that are completely disabled, literally completely disabled, can't move, or the oldest people in America, the most disabled people. They're not getting a check, so they can't have their nurse come by the house, they can't eat. Kids that are living impoverished. Far right, I think it's time for you guys to take a look at yourself. But anyway, that's a little introduction. So let's talk about Greene, let's talk about DeSantis, let's talk about Rhodes. Okay, so let's start with Rhodes. So, I'm going to go with NBC News. So from NBC News, Justice Department. This is from May 25th, 2023 by Ryan J. Riley, Daniel Barnes, and Gary Grumbach. Okay, and this article is entitled Oath Keepers Founder Sentenced to 18 Years in January 6th Seditious Conspiracy Case. It says Stewart Rhodes, who said after the Capitol attack that the rioters should have brought rifles. These dudes, these men, but there's women too. These people have been living in some like warped imaginary land of like Call of Duty mixed up with like some old Civil War reenactment games mixed up with like whatever other gunk craziness that's in their head that should have been addressed by mental health professionals and not by random people in online forums that propelled these people towards the Capitol on January 6th in an attempt to bring down American democracy. It is literally so dangerous because it is the temperament of a petulant child in grown people's bodies. Guys, you want to destroy the rights for everyone, including yourselves, to bring rights to only the people who look like you, who think like you, It's just ridiculous. So it says Washington. The founder of the far-right Oath Keepers has been sentenced to 18 years in federal prison in connection with the January 6th attack on the Capitol following his conviction on seditious conspiracy. Pause there. I know I'm going to keep pausing. But first of all, 18 years. Like, people on Twitter, we're going to go on Twitter in a second because this stuff is crazy. They're going crazy like this dude is just, one of the most admirable people. As a result of all of this conspiracy to take down the Capitol, 5 people died, including those people who you label as martyrs of war. They died, and they did not have to. So it goes on to say the sentence for Stewart Rhodes is the longest imposed on January 6th defendant to date. In politically charged speech in the courtroom just before his sentencing, he called himself a political prisoner and said that when he talked about regime change in a phone call with supporters earlier this week, he meant he hopes that former President Donald Trump will win in 2024. How stupid do you think that? Look at this face. Look at this face. I know I wasn't born yesterday. It goes on to say the judge disagreed that Rhodes had been locked up for politics, saying it was his actions that led to his criminal convictions. All right, I'm going to skip down a little bit, okay? So, on January 6th, they are going to put the final nail in the coffin of this republic unless we fight our way out, with Trump preferably or without him. We have no choice. This is what Rhodes wrote in a message ahead of January 6th. This is so many things. This is the white supremacy and the institutional racism and prejudice and just white privilege that doesn't want to take a look at itself, that's been weaved in Western society for years and years and years. But it's also literally narcissism and psychopathy. Because the thing with narcissists and psychopaths is that they really feel like their feats of justice are very, very much, what's the word that I'm looking for? Justified. They feel like what they're doing is extremely justified. They feel like it's righteous, even if it's hurting people, killing people, and somewhere in the very back of their mind, they know that this is wrong. They know that this is wrong, but the trauma that's associated with whatever made these people this way, whatever it was, whether it was adverse poverty, war, childhood issues, abandonment from their parents, physical abuse, sexual abuse, whatever it was, that part clicked off, and it started to dissociate. And that part, that innocent person in there that they were before they became a monster says, you know what, I think this is wrong. I think this is wrong. But that psychopath, that narcissist just keeps moving forward and saying, nope, I'm not wrong. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. Does that sound similar to anyone that you know? It sounds like Donald Trump. You would be right. Now, let's head on over to Twitter. Because, something that's really interesting. I heard it on the news. They were basically talking about how bank robbers can get 15 years in prison. Bank robbers. Conspiracy to overthrow American democracy. Like literally, to eviscerate our way of life that we've always known. This gets 18 years. So some people thought that it was lenient. Now, on the other hand, Chauvin, and I'm pronouncing it the French way because I actually live in France, and so we would pronounce it Chauvin. But I think back in the U.S., most people have been pronouncing it Chauvin. Derek Chauvin. So Derek Chauvin right. Okay, so I think I really don't even know what the resurgence of all of this hate on Twitter about George Floyd is. I'm not particularly sure. I think it's because of the anniversary of his passing. Yes, yes. So it's the anniversary of George Floyd's passing. And Twitter basically blew up because apparently back in the US, which I haven't lived in the US in 5 years, I've lived in France on and off for the past 5 years, but I still hold my US citizenship and I still care. I still care that that country is okay. Like, I just want it to be okay. I remember my childhood being so full of joy. And somewhere, like I've said many times, around the 2015 mark, things just became really, really, really depressing, right? I wonder why that is. I want it to be okay, but something is really, really off. And I think what triggered this huge thing on social media, on Twitter, was the fact that George Floyd's, there were some statues and things devoted to him. I think that's what it was. And so a lot of people were showing solidarity about that. Now, when I go and I type in George Floyd, I saw one amazing thing on Twitter, of course. Elon Musk's far right, just sound piece of the far right. I feel like that's essentially what Twitter has become. Now, 21 hours ago, which, I'm filming this on Friday afternoon my time. But 21 hours ago, President Biden posted a GIF showing him with George Floyd's family. And he says, "Today America mourns the murder of George Floyd 3 years later. I'll never forget Gianna Floyd's words. Daddy changed the world. He has unifying people of every race and generation in peace with purpose to say enough. Hate can never have safe harbor in America." I saw that and it was beautiful. I also saw something that Kamala Harris had posted. It was beautiful. Then I came down to this rancid tweet from someone named Amanda Larini. And it says, "George Floyd died of an overdose! Exclamation point. I say we take down all the ridiculous statues and monuments of him now. Who agrees?" And you just scroll through these actual comments. And some people, some of these far-right extremists are posting documents of his autopsy, even though fentanyl has been absolutely ruled out as his cause of death. The coroner has said his cause of death was likely caused by the knee. Someone having their knee on your neck for 9 minutes is what kills you, not minor traces of fentanyl. And besides the fact, even if this man was a drug abuser, we know that many young black men in America are abusing drugs, are out there on the street because of institutional racism. The thing that we've been saying for a very long time. America doesn't, the far-right extremist mentality of America, because the America that I grew up in knew that this stuff was wrong. But the far-right extremist America, conspiracy theory America that has come to life after Trump has become president, it believes, oh, no, the lives of black men don't really matter. It's not that big of a deal. And beyond that, you're saying that essentially what you're saying is that because someone abuses drugs, and not even just abuses drugs for fun, but because their lives are so sad and impoverished, they can't get a job, they can't do the things that you do, they can't enjoy the privileges that you enjoy. You're saying that because they abuse drugs, they deserve to be murdered. It doesn't make any sense. When I look at these comments, it just breaks my heart. Now, moving on. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's talk about this woman because she is a representative in the state that I grew up in, in Georgia. I grew up in Atlanta, and it is sad to watch. It's sad to watch that this is what needs to be done, that someone really needs to be shown how much of a mockery of themselves that they are. Now, you saw with, who was it that she said was, yes, you saw when Marjorie Taylor Greene called Jamal Bowman threatening, spewing that threatening black man trope on him, when he was just disagreeing with her and quite literally almost laughing at her. And something that has been, it's becoming common sense now, is that Marjorie doesn't like to be laughed at. I guess that's why she's running around acting like a buffoon, because she doesn't like to be laughed at. So I don't know if this was staged. I don't know if it was organic, and I don't really care. I just like that people were laughing at Marjorie, because it's to let her know, dude, you are making yourself look like a caricature of a Karen version of yourself. You have the opportunity to show that you have some compassion in there for human beings other than white supremacists, white nationalists, trying to overthrow American democracy. Show us that. So this article from The Hill entitled "Democrats Erupt in Laughter After Greene Calls for Decorum in House" by Michael Schneill came out on the 24th of May. The 24th of May, 2023. It says Democrats erupted in laughter on the House floor Wednesday when Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican Georgia, who was presiding over the chamber, called for decorum. She called for decorum. So laughable. The heckling came as House Majority Leader Steve Scalise A Republican from Louisiana was delivering floor remarks about the debt ceiling, which the Republicans have been holding hostage. That was my point, that the Republicans have been holding it hostage. The Hill carries on to say, which has been the subject of high-stakes negotiations between the GOP lawmakers and the White House. Yes. So let's just leave it there. I'm going to kind of wrap it up now. The last thing was just DeSantis and Elon Musk's thing on Twitter. It was horrendous. You know, the things that DeSantis has done, I think that he is so ignorant and so emotionally unintelligent that he doesn't understand. He doesn't even understand the things that he's done wrong. I think all the campaign moves that he's made, going against, you know, Disney, one of Florida's biggest, you know, sources of income, tourist attraction, was a dumb move. Going against banning books. I hate what Florida is doing about the Up the Hill poem from Amanda Gordon. And I want to do another video about that. Silencing voices, you know, don't say gay bills, and Florida is where woke comes to die. You know, I really feel like he's so ignorant. He's so unintelligent emotionally that he just sort of robotically chose these things that weren't exactly what Trump was doing, and definitely wasn't what Biden was doing. He said, hey, I've got a niche. Okay, let's go. Let's move forward, you know. Dude, use a little bit of your common sense. The fact that this campaign launch was held on Twitter in the first place tells me that there is a lot of secrecy around it. There is a lot of shame and guilt around it that doesn't want to be admitted, because we know that Twitter has become sort of the dumpster bin for far extremist ideas and rhetoric. So I'm going to leave it at that. I don't see where DeSantis has any sort of future. And Elon Musk, I find to be a very problematic character. I understand that he has Asperger's, but he reads to me as someone who is extremely tone deaf, has too much money, has amassed far too much wealth. I mean, the wealth that some of these biggest billionaires have in the U.S., if they were at least paying their taxes, do you understand how many people could actually cover their bills, could actually have jobs, if even just the most richest of these billionaires paid their taxes? But the thing is these billionaires are some of the most far-right people's best friends, and so they're holding up for them. But here's what I want to end this with. I think that we have to keep speaking up. We have to keep speaking up for especially black and brown people in the U.S., especially black and brown people and women and veterans and LGBTQIA people, having their basic human rights, you know, the rights to clean food and water, to shelter, to health care, and to making some sort of living for themselves, but also not having the autonomy of their bodies questioned, not having what they want to do with their parts in their bedrooms when the lights are off, not having that being snooped in by the government, you know. And I think that we have to keep speaking up about that, because like me, you may have just thought, oh, it'll go away. You know, this stuff is just extremism. It'll go away. But this is how we got here today. So guys, you don't have to start a YouTube channel, but speak to your family, speak to your friends, engage in conversations about tolerance, about multiculturalism, about diversity, about the black and brown experience, about systemic prejudice, institutional racism, institutional misogyny, okay? Have these hard conversations and choose the route of humility. Choose the route of peace. Choose the route of constituency, okay? This is a two-party system, bipartisan. Everything can't always go the Democrats' way, yes. But everything also can't always go the Republicans' way, you know? This is not 1776. Our country was founded on some wonderful foundations. I recognize that individually as a person. I think the founding fathers founded this country on some wonderful foundations. But we have to adapt those with the cultural landscape that this country consists of today. And it is nobody's fault who's black and brown that it consists of that. Because black and brown people, most of them, were brought to the U.S. as slaves. But now they are citizens. You have to listen to the voices of black people, brown people, Democrats, liberals. You know, this debt ceiling thing is really just holding hostage to find a defeat against liberals. And that's not how things should be done. Take this as a word from the wise. Republicans, far right, you are risking imploding upon yourself. You are risking losing the last little thread of sensibility or respectability or common sense that you have left. You know, you are becoming the world's laughing stock. I think you had good intentions. Listen, humble, listen to others. America is made up of different voices, not just your voices. Listen. Guys, I would love to know what you think. We're going to be continuing these conversations because obviously this can't just end here. Guys, please let me know what you think in the comments. If you're new here, please go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video, and I'll see you next time. Okay.